Welcome back to our channel, soap fans. Today is a beautiful day to dive deep into the chaotic, brilliant, and sometimes maddening world of Port Charles. We have a massive amount of narrative ground to cover today, and I have been practically pacing a hole in my floor waiting to talk about this. Let us get right into the absolute firestorm brewing in the Corinthos family. I cannot stay quiet about this anymore. I just finished watching the latest pieces of this puzzle fall into place, and my blood is absolutely boiling. We need to talk about Sonny Corinthos and this supposedly grand, sweeping narrative of him leaving the mob. I mean, honestly, how many times have we been down this road? How many times have we seen the brooding kingpin stare into his glass of scotch, look out over the docks, and declare that he is finally stepping away from the violence? But let me say this clearly. This time, the writers are actually doing something structurally fascinating, and simultaneously, they are driving me completely insane. As someone who analyzes the mechanics of soap storytelling for a living, I can see exactly what they are building here. They are not just giving us a retirement party, they are giving us a collapse. Sonny is actively holding strategic meetings, trying to dismantle a criminal empire that has defined the very geography of Port Charles for decades. He wants a clean break. He wants to resolve the lingering issues. But the absolute arrogance of thinking you can just file some paperwork and walk away from a lifetime of blood is staggering, and the writers know it. They are setting him up for a fall so catastrophic it might actually redefine the show. Let us look at the historical context here, because we have to compare this to past storytelling choices. In the past, when Sonny tried to go legitimate, it was usually a half measure. It was a front. It was buying a coffee business to launder money or trying to appease a woman who could not handle the gunfire. But this current iteration feels heavier. The strategic meetings he is holding are detailed, almost bureaucratic. He is looking at his territories, his alliances, his enemies, and trying to tie them up with a neat little bow. Because that is what Sonny does. When he gets an idea in his head, he becomes singularly obsessed. His obsession with this exit strategy is blinding him to the reality of the streets. You do not just leave a vacuum of that magnitude without the surrounding predators smelling blood in the water. The pacing of these scenes is deliberate. The writers are showing us a man who is exhausted, a man who truly believes he can outsmart his own violent legacy. But the dramatic irony is suffocating. We, the audience, know that the very act of him pulling back is what is drawing the danger closer. Every meeting he holds to secure his peace is actually laying the groundwork for a new war. I love the ambition of this plot, but I am terrified that the execution is going to rely on Sonny being uncharacteristically naive. And then they bring in Rick Lansing. Are you kidding me? I actually yelled at my screen. Rick Lansing. The half-brother who has betrayed Sonny more times than I can physically count, the man who chained Sonny's pregnant wife to a wall in a panic room. Am I supposed to pretend that this makes sense? Am I supposed to believe that Sonny, in his most vulnerable transitional phase, would look at Rick and say, yes, this is the guy I need to handle my legal fallout? It is a massive, glaring character flaw, but as a writer, I have to admit it is a brilliant narrative trap. Sonny needs legal cover. He needs someone who understands the dirty tricks, the loopholes, the gray areas of the law to legitimize his exit and protect his assets from federal scrutiny. Rick is a phenomenal lawyer. That has never been in dispute, but Rick is also a scorpion. You do not invite a scorpion into your house to help you clean up and then act shocked when you get stung. The show is leaning hard into the toxic, cyclical nature of their brotherhood, and while it frustrates me as a viewer who wants Sonny to be smart, it thrills me as a critic who loves a slow-motion train wreck. The writers are forcing Sonny to rely on the one person who has a psychological need to see him destroyed. Because here is the horrific truth of the matter. Rick is already playing him. Of course he is. Rick cannot exist in Sonny's orbit without trying to usurp him, destroy him, or prove he is the smarter, more legitimate brother. The revelation that Rick is making secret, backroom deals with Sidwell is the exact kind of twist that makes General Hospital great when it fires on all cylinders. Rick thinks he is the smartest guy in the room. He is using Sonny's desperation to get out of the mob as the perfect smokescreen to orchestrate a massive power grab. This is not just a mistake on Sonny's part. This is a disaster of epic proportions. The very mechanism Sonny is using to save himself Rick's legal maneuvering is the exact weapon being used to dig his grave. We also need to analyze what Sidwell actually brings to the table. The show has been teasing this threat, building this shadow over Port Charles. Sidwell is not playing by the old rules. The old mob bosses respected certain boundaries, certain territories, and a certain code of conduct, no matter how twisted it was. Sidwell is a disruptor. He is a modern, ruthless force. And by aligning with Rick, Sidwell has bypassed all of Sonny's external defenses. He is inside the gates. The fact that Sonny's exit strategy is the very thing facilitating Sidwell's entry is a stroke of narrative genius, even if it makes me want to pull my hair out. It proves that the writers understand cause and effect. They are not just throwing random villains at the wall. They are weaving the villain into the fabric of the protagonist's biggest, most tragic mistake. Let us talk about this disaster unfolding. The show is framing this not just as a business failure, but as a psychological nightmare. Sonny's withdrawal from the underworld is supposed to bring him peace, but instead, it is creating an absolute catastrophe. The moment the king steps off the throne, the wolves circle. And Sidwell is the biggest wolf of all right now, backed by the legal and strategic insider knowledge of Sonny's own brother. I mean, the stakes could not be higher. The writers are proving a point here. You cannot outrun your sins. Sonny's obsession with leaving is actually accelerating his downfall. He is so focused on the horizon that he cannot see the knife being pressed to his ribs. The narrative tension is almost unbearable. Every time Sonny talks about his future, about finally being free of the violence, I want to scream because I know Rick is right outside the door selling that future to Sidwell, but thank God for Jason Morgan. Thank God for Brick. If Sonny is going to be deaf, dumb, and blind to his brother's treachery, at least the writers have the sense to keep his inner circle sharp. Jason and Brick are the anchors of this storyline. They are the ones who actually understand the mechanics of survival. Jason has never trusted Rick. Never. Not for a single second in the decades they have known each other. Jason knows that Rick's DNA is composed of spite and inferiority complexes. So when Rick starts acting just a little too smooth, a little too accommodating with this exit strategy, Jason's radar is instantly pinging. The way the writers are positioning Jason right now is masterful. He is not just standing in the background looking stoic. He is actively observing, calculating, and waiting for the mask to slip. Jason is the immune system of the Corinthos organization, and he knows a virus when he sees one. And Brick? Let me talk about Brick for a minute, because he does not get nearly enough credit for how crucial he is to the pacing of these plots. Brick is not blinded by family loyalty the way Sonny is, and he is not burdened by the emotional baggage Jason carries. Brick looks at data. Brick looks at facts. And Brick is noticing the changes in Rick. He is seeing the encrypted communications, the unexplained meetings, the subtle shifts in how Rick is moving money or filing documents. Brick and Jason comparing notes is the exact kind of procedural, paranoid storytelling that makes mob plots work. They are putting the pieces together. They are realizing that Rick's involvement is not a solution. It is a Trojan horse. The technological surveillance Brick employs is the perfect counterweight to Rick's legal sleight of hand. This realization is creating a brand new obsession for Jason and Brick. They are no longer just protecting Sonny from external rival families. They are trying to protect Sonny from his own blind spots. The tension between Jason and Sonny is going to be legendary. We all know how this goes. Jason will go to Sonny with his suspicions. He will say, Rick is playing you. He is working with Sidwell. And Sonny, because he is stubborn and because he desperately wants to believe he has this under control, will push back. Sonny will accuse Jason of being paranoid, of holding on to old grudges. This is the tragic flaw of Sonny Corinthos. He demands absolute loyalty, but he constantly gives his heart to the people who betray him the most. I am already bracing myself for the screaming match in the Corinthos living room. It is going to be spectacular, but it is going to hurt to watch. So what are we looking at here? We are looking at a new war. But this is not going to be a war fought in warehouses with nameless goons shooting at each other in the dark. This is going to be a surgical, intimate, devastating war. It is going to be fought in boardrooms, in courtrooms, and in the private spaces of the Corinthos family. Jason and Brick are gearing up for an attack, and they know they have to strike before Rick and Sidwell finalize whatever trap they have set. The anticipation is electric. You can feel the shift in the show's atmosphere. The quiet moments of Sonny planning his retirement are completely overshadowed by the ticking time bomb of Rick's betrayal. Every scene feels heavy. Every conversation feels loaded with double meanings. I have to say, I am both furious and deeply impressed. Furious because I hate seeing Sonny get played. I hate seeing him look foolish in front of his enemies. But I am impressed because this is exactly how you write a tragedy. You give the character exactly what they want, an exit from the mob, and you make the price of that exit their complete destruction. The pacing has been a little uneven, sure. Sometimes I think they spend too much time on the setup and not enough on the execution. But the character work right now, it is undeniably compelling. The actors are chewing on this material. You can see the smugness radiating off Rick. You can see the cold, terrifying clarity in Jason's eyes. You can see the desperate, tired hope in Sonny. It is a masterclass in soap opera dynamics. Let me predict exactly how this is going to go down. Jason is not going to wait for Sonny's permission. Jason and Brick are going to launch a preemptive strike. They are going to uncover the definitive proof of the Sidwell alliance, and they are going to corner Rick, but it will be too late to stop the initial fallout. Sidwell is going to launch an attack that shakes Port Charles to its core, and it will happen right at the moment Sonny thinks he is finally out. The tragedy will be complete. Sonny will be forced to pick up the gun again. He will be forced to step right back into the blood and the mud to clean up the mess his brother made. The exit strategy will burn to ashes, and the new war will consume them all.